take it from me, a dividend income focused investor that currently earns north of $7,300 on average on a monthly basis in dividend income alone. That earning north of $4,000 every single month in dividends across your portfolio combined is not as hard as you think and definitely does not take as much money as you might imagine. Now, even though across my portfolio you see tons of different positions that pay me dividends on a monthly or quarterly basis, there's honestly so many different ways to get to the end goal of earning a substantial amount of dividends on a monthly basis, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how. So if you want to see a relatively easy, extremely safe way to earn $4,000 plus on a monthly basis in dividend income with much less invested than you might think, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the markets. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that I wish I came across a video like this when I first started dividend investing, so make sure to drop a like down below if you, of course, find any value from this. But we're going to basically be talking about the idea of investing a relatively small amount of money into a run-of-the-mill dividend growth focused style ETF like SCHD, for example, an ETF that, side note, is going to split here very soon. But if a newer investor, especially if they're relatively young, invests a small amount of money into something like this that has the potential to grow in price over time and also pay more and more in dividends over time, you're going to see the math, you're going to see the compounding, and exactly how something like this could turn a small portfolio into something massive with not all that much invested at all. Now, also keep in mind, you don't need to buy into SCHD. This is just one example, one dividend growth style ETF that at least historically has traded up and to the right and paid dividends and more dividends over time. Now, some highlights about SCHD specifically. This ETF is straightforward, low cost fund offering potential tax efficiency, which is great. The fund can serve as part of the core or complement in a diversified portfolio, and it tracks an index focused on quality and sustainability of dividends. Now, this ETF is also super cheap to own. It costs just 0.06%. So again, especially for a newer, younger investor. When I was 21, when I was 24, I wish I would have just taken a small amount of money and bought something like this, but instead I was stock picking, messing around, and wasting time. Now, like I said, SCHD is a great example to use for this video, showing you how to make $4,000 plus per month in dividends with a small amount of money invested, because as you can see here, since inception, SCHD has done what? It's basically traded up and to the right as far as ETF price goes, which means your net worth is going to grow over time, at least, of course, if it keeps trading how it has historically, which I personally think it's going to, but of course, you can have your own opinion. But along with that, even if SCHD goes up 3%, 5%, 0% on a yearly basis, historically speaking at least, because of this ETF's methodology, the ETF has been paying more and more in dividends over time. Now, when I first actually started understanding dividend growth rate, it unlocked something in my brain. This was honestly probably about 4 or so years ago, so I was already about 4 years into my investing journey when I really started to understand dividend growth rate and how important it is and how magical it can be. Because take SCHD, for example, an ETF that currently is paying anywhere around 75 cents, 82 cents, 61 cents, and 74 cents. Those are the last 4 dividend payouts. This is the last 4 quarters. Now, an ETF like this that has had a track record of healthy dividend growth, we're talking on average, this ETF has raised their dividends around 8, 9, 10% plus on a yearly basis. That means that you're basically getting an increase as far as income goes, 10% every single year. Now, I know what you're saying, that doesn't really sound like that much when you might have 5 or 10 or 20 shares of it. Who really cares about an increase of $5 here, $10 there? But trust me, over time, this is going to be substantial. Considering I actually have friends that have been buying SCHD for say 6 or 7 years, and back then when they started buying shares, this ETF was paying around 33 cents, 40 cents per share per quarter. Now, as of recent, it's over twice as much income, which, keep in mind, when you get to 100 shares or even 1,000 shares, that is going to be a life-changing amount of income increase. So I'll repeat, SCHD is not the only dividend growth style ETF that has a healthy amount of dividend growth, even though SCHD in the 5-year has around 12% dividend growth rate, which in my opinion is one of the best I've came across as far as an ETF that also offers a 3.5% starting yield. So keep in mind, there's other ETFs across the market that also offer dividend growth and have went up into the right, but SCHD is my personal favorite, and I currently have over 700 shares of this one. But you clicked on the title of this video for one specific reason. You want me to show you how a relatively small amount of money invested can turn a small portfolio into a portfolio later on that can generate north of $4,000 per month in dividends. And I promise you, it's not going to cost you $1 million, $500,000, or anything of the sorts. So if we were to type in some information going off of SCHD's track record, and again, these numbers can change, and also other ETFs can also offer similar, better, or worse numbers. I'm just using SCHD for an example because it's done pretty well in the past. But for starters, with a $15,000 initial investment. So of course, $15,000 is not a tiny bit of money, but it's a relatively small amount of money considering you're trying to build a portfolio that's going to pay you over $4,000 per month in the future. If we were to start with SCHD's 3.5% annual dividend yield, around a 9% annual dividend amount increase, 3% expected share price increase, a $12,000 annual contribution on top of this, you're going to see the numbers and this is going to shock you. So keep in mind, year number one, you're only going to receive around $500 in dividends. Year number two, around $1,000. It's going to take some time. It's going to take around 11 or 12 years of investing and reinvesting those dividends to reach a point where you're over $1,000 per month in dividends. And again, this all started with a $15,000 principal. If you can start with more or contribute more, obviously that's only going to help the snowball grow faster. But still, with a relatively small amount of money, the portfolio already reaches 6 figures in around 7 or so years, which is crazy. But moving right along, it's only going to take an investor, at least theoretically speaking, around 18 to 22, 25 years to reach the point to where they're earning over $4,000 per month in dividends. Now again, this is off of a $15,000 principal and $12,000 contributed per year. Now, if we were to keep the $15,000 the same but only contribute $9,000, it would still only take an investor around 20 or so years to reach that $4,000 more or less mark on a consistent basis per month. Now, on the other hand, if an investor started with a little bit more money, $25,000, they could reach the goal of $4,000 per month in income a lot quicker. But regardless, it goes to show that if you invest into a dividend growth beast like SCHD or like a lot of the other dividend growth style ETFs across the market these days, it doesn't take $1 million or even $500,000 of initial principal. It just takes a relatively small amount of money starting out and giving the dividend snowball some time to form, reinvesting those dividends along the way, and letting the dividends grow to the point to where you are earning north of $4,000 consistently per month in dividends. So if I were to ask you to take away one important aspect from this video, I would say to look into different dividend paying stocks and ETFs that at least historically have offered some substantial dividend growth, because dividend growth is one of the easiest ways to buy an investment, sit on your hands, and get paid more and more income over time. And that's why for me currently, as you can see across my portfolio, I'm focusing on a lot of names that do offer dividend growth historically, with the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF being one of my largest positions of all. So now that we went through and I shared with you guys exactly how a relatively small amount of money invest into something like SCHD or into other similar dividend growth style ETFs could potentially offer investors north of $4,000 per month in dividends later on, I lastly want to hear from you guys down below. As far as dividend growth investments go, or a foundational style ETF in your portfolio, which is your favorite? Comment the ticker symbol down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.